back to the E-commerce Revolution podcast. This is episode number 26, and we are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and now Twitter, kind of in honor, I guess, of Elon Musk buying Twitter and officially making that sale happen. We thought, why not? Let's just go on Twitter. If you're listening to the replay of this, make sure you take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel and feel free to send us and post a review on any one of the podcast networks where you listen to your podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Ramin, and I'm one of the managing partners at QRY Agency. So let's just get this thing started. We tried to be fluid on that one. All right, so a little glitch there, but no worries at all. It's live. This is what happens. You just roll with it. I can see people laughing in the background, chuckling there a little bit. So if you work or lead a DTC e-commerce brand, this episode is a must watch for you, an absolutely must watch. I was compelled after reading this blog post by our guest today that really got my attention. So today we'll be diving into the 5 stages of DTC and e-commerce advertising. I mean, it is really important, and you'll find out that your business fits somewhere within these 5 stages. And it's fascinating to know where you fit in, and then how you get to the next stage, and ultimately how you get to that all important 5th stage. But I won't talk about it anymore. I'm going to let our guest really dive into this topic. Our guest today is Samir Balwani. He's the CEO and founder of QRY, a media agency that helps e-commerce brands and DTC brands accelerate their growth. So he knows his stuff. He lives in the trenches each and every day with direct consumer brands and understands how they go through these 5 stages. So Samir is a true marketing strategist, a thought leader with over 15 years of marketing experience. Go check him out on LinkedIn. He'll give us that information at the end. You can see the type of stuff that he posts, and you can go to his website and take a look at the information and blogs that they write about. Very interesting. So without any further ado, please welcome Samir to the E-commerce Revolution podcast. Samir, great to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You have quite the background and very detailed. And the word thoughtful growth really resonated as I was reading your posts and looking at what you write on LinkedIn and what's on your site. And it's interesting, right before the show we were talking about maybe brands that pour too much gasoline on the fire too quickly and what that can ultimately do to your business. But just tell us a little bit about the agency, how you got to where you are today and what has inspired this notion of the 5 stages, and then we'll dive into each one of them.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So, like Ramin said, I'm Samir Balwani. I'm the founder and CEO of QRY. We're a media buying agency for direct-to-consumer and e-com brands. So the brands that we tend to work with have really high growth expectations. They've already identified product market fit. People are buying from them, and they need a sophisticated media partner to really scale quickly. I've got high revenue growth goals, and I need to hit them fast. We tell people you have to choose between profitability and revenue sometimes when you're talking advertising. And so if you skew more on the revenue side and are comfortable kind of taking a profitability hit on your advertising, we're the right agency for that, because that's where we thrive and really driving that top line revenue growth.
That's fantastic. Have you, and I assume just based on that, you've had to turn away clients or prospects who are looking to hire you guys because maybe they don't fit into that mold. And this is a common element of most agencies having to vet their prospects. But what do you say to somebody that doesn't fit or maybe is close to fitting that mold?
Yeah, so actually a lot of our sales process and onboarding process is around making sure there's alignment in terms of our philosophies and expectations. And, every agency does that initial audit. We'll do it for free. We'll take a look at it and tell you if we can be successful. A lot of times agencies look at that as an opportunity to kind of showcase their work and what they're able to do. Our perspective is actually the opposite. We do it as, can we be successful for you? And are
Sure.
you ready for us? More so
Nice.
the other way. And,
Hmm.
one of the things that we look at is, and we audit against is, where are you on these 5 stages? Because we thrive on stage, like end of stage 3, early stage 4 and above.
Okay.
So if you're still early in your life cycle, we're just not going to be able to help you scale. We're not going to be able to do what you need to do because you're still figuring out where the brand fits into the marketplace,
Sure.
who your customer is, things like that.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
do turn away a lot,
Yeah.
and luckily we have a lot of agency friends that love working on that. Stage 1, stage 2, they're fractional
Hmm.
CFOs, or are able to look at things kind of holistically, because that's what you need in those
Sure.
early stages. You don't
Yeah.
really need a specialist just yet.
Well, that's good. I mean, so it sounds like you have solutions, or at least relationships where you can send the stage 1 and stage 2. Because I feel like if I was if I fit into, if I was,
Yeah.
told that I was a stage 1 or 2, my next question would be, who can help me? Who can
Yeah.
help me? And because I want to come back to you and work with you when I'm stage 3. So
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. It's, come to us when we're the right tool for you.
sure.
And in the interim, it's on us to make sure that you get the right resource to get to where you need to be, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
one of our principles is, you can't just say no. It's like, no, but, and it's like, all right, no, but here's an option for you.
Right.
I think that that's an important aspect of just, relationship building as a whole.
Yeah. No, that's great. Okay. Well, it makes absolute sense. By the way, what part of the country are you calling in today from?
Yeah. So I'm in New Jersey. Really weird weather. So it's like in
Yeah.
70 degrees today.
You
So,
look like you're dressed very warm.
I am very comfortable. It did start cold this morning, and hopefully it'll warm up through the day.
Very nice. I love it. I love it. Well, that's great. So I'd love to. Well, actually, here I do have a question before we dive into
Yeah.
the 5 stages. Tell me the basis for the name of the agency. How did you come up? I'm always very curious. Naming is always a fun part of the branding process. Just curious, what led to
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. The impetus of the name is actually really interesting. We went through back and forth around, what is our core tenets and what are we trying to do. And we realized uh, advertising and scale and marketing as a growth really just comes from answering a bunch of questions. And so
Mhm.
that's where the idea around query comes from. So it's answering questions like, who's the right audience? What's the right
Right.
product? What's the right channel? What's the right spend? A lot of the things that we do are just answering those kinds of questions. And so we realize good marketing starts from that. And that's
Mhm.
the impetus around kind of the name.
Yeah, very thoughtful, just like I assume everything else you do. And this whole process, it's a very thoughtful process. Sometimes names are just pulled out of a hat, so to speak, and people just run with it.
Yeah, I'll be
Um,
fair. And just to any other agency owner that's listening, this was not our first name. Our first name
oh,
was pulled out of a hat. And
okay, got it. Very nice. All right, good. All right, thank you for admitting that. I appreciate that. I
I think it's
appreciate that.
important for people to
Yeah.
know the real part of it too.
Yeah, no, I think my business partner and I were driving in a car on our way to a Shopify event where we came up with the name, and we tried to. It's not going to work. Nobody's going to understand SKU. They're going to miss. But then it just stuck. By the end of the drive, it was still there. So
That's what
that's kind of how
matters.
we went with ours. Well, that's great. Very good. I appreciate you sharing. All right, so let's dive into these 5 steps, and ideally, I would love for you to just talk about what each stage means, what it means, and then ultimately what a brand is doing and what defines the movement to the next stage. I mean, you've seen it all. You obviously turn away people who are not in that stage 3 and above. So I'd love to hear your stuff. Let's start with stage 1.
Yeah. So um, let's start with just like an overarching.
Yeah,
So what
please.
are the 5 stages? So the 5 stages of DTC e-com growth are not equal stages, right? Like, you don't
Mhm.
spend the same amount of time in each
Mhm.
stage. Some of them move quickly, some of them move slowly,
Mhm.
and it kind of flex back and forth. So stage 1 is really at reaching product market fit. Do we have the right consumer, the right customer?
Mhm.
Stage 2, around building brand awareness. How are we doing that efficiently? Stage 3, you're really starting to scale your paid advertising. Now is kind of the time where my team and I can kind of come and help you at that point. Stage 4 is really growing brand awareness, trying to reach a mass audience. And then
Mhm.
stage 5 is, okay, we've reached kind of an equilibrium and we are growing. And now the only way to really accelerate growth is by doing big splashy things.
Mhm.
It may not be paid media, it may be other things, but
Right.
now we're kind of at the point where we can forecast long term. So let's talk with just the first one, reaching product market fit. And I think this is the most important. A lot of brands spend a lot of time in stage one. It's the hardest one to get through. It's we say product market fit, but this can also be brand market fit. It's really just understanding, do I have the right customer and are they willing to purchase from me? Will they actually buy from me? So a lot of things, a lot of people ask us, all right, well, how do I know if I have product market fit? Or
Right.
the first thing we look at is actually your average order value and your conversion rate on your website. So we want your conversion rate to be at least 1%.
Okay.
You want to know, send 100 people, at least one of them, 100 cold people, at least one of them will purchase from you. And then the other one is your AOV. You want it to be at least $60. And these two numbers together make an index. So let's say you have an AOV of $500, your conversion rate can come down. We know that that's natural. The reason why these two numbers, though, exist as an index is, one, we want to know that people trust and value your brand enough to pay you a meaningful amount. And we want to be able to, we want to know that we can do that at scale. Also, those numbers are based on our benchmark CPM, CPCs, and click-through rates. So we know that it's going to cost X amount of dollars to acquire a customer. So if we can't get $60 purchase at a 1%, you're not going to scale that brand from an advertising standpoint. So that number does change as we go, CPMs rise about 10 to 15% every year. That number will change next year. It'll be slightly higher because our cost to acquire will go up, right? And so that's reaching brand market fit. Do people value us enough to purchase from us? Are they buying a meaningful amount? Not an impulse buy. So if your product is if your AOV is $19 and you're converting 1% of them, great. There's not a lot of consumers not taking a lot of risk buying from you. You want to make sure it's worthwhile, right? So that's stage one. That's what we really look at. How do you kind of reach that product market fit? It's messaging testing. It's talking to your consumers. It's word of mouth. I always laugh because people start e-com businesses and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do this from my home and I'm not going to, it's going to be like, just do this. The best e-com businesses go to market fairs and have trunk shows and take it offline so you can actually see your customer and make sure it is exactly who your audience is. That's stage one. You're doing a lot. Stage two, now you're building brand awareness. Advertising is not the place where you want to be building brand awareness at this stage. It is not an efficient use of your money. It's also kind of weird to be building brand awareness when no one knows or trusts who you are from your own channels. So that's why we love PR and influencer marketing at stage two. You might use advertising to kind of distribute that content. You might also use advertising for remarketing campaigns for, all right, someone came to our site and they're interested and we'll kind of manage against that. That's fine as well. But really here, you are trying to leverage third-party trust and cachet to build your brand. I always, the story I always tell people, it's like, if you use advertising to build brand awareness here, it's like walking into a party, going to a cocktail party and be like, I am the coolest person ever. And you're just shouting it, right? They care. But you go to a party and someone else says, oh man, Samir's super cool. Like I should go hang out with him.
Yes.
Then you can be like, oh yeah, I'm the coolest person ever.
All right.
Right. So that's stage two is all about building that.
So let me ask you a few questions about stage one and as well as stage two. So stage one, roughly, what's my revenue looking like for a brand around stage one?
Yeah, so it definitely flexes based on the size of the market and the AOV that you have. I would say generally around $250,000 to $300,000 annually. You should be able to get to product market fit at that stage, right? That would feel good, right?
All right, that's good. And so what kind of, I have to do some marketing, right? In stage one. And we talked to a few, does SEO and, does that come into play during that time frame? Because that's really what I'm really trying to build that audience. I'm trying to get that long-term growth there, right?
Yeah, it's all owned channels and
Mhm.
earned channels, right? So all your organic content, your
Okay.
social media, your newsletters, SMS, things like that,
Mhm.
anything to build a community, because that's what you're trying to do in that stage one is.
Sure.
I know who my audience is. This is who wants to purchase from me. I am building my community around me.
Mhm.
Once you know that, it makes stage two a lot easier because if you've already built a community and you know who that is, identifying the influencers and press publications that make the most sense for you is
Mhm.
really straightforward and simple,
Okay.
and they might already be part of your community. So it
Yeah.
becomes really easy
Yeah.
to transition into that second stage.
Okay. So owned, one thing we always talk about is email and SMS marketing. So that's probably coming into play both in stage one and stage two.
Yep.
We had a gentleman from Gatsby that does influencer marketing software that connects with Klaviyo. That's probably at that point too. If you've already started building, an audience there, that maybe it's a good time to start seeing if that influencer market, right, in stage two is really going to start talking about you. They're going to start
Yeah.
mentioning you. And then you mentioned press releases, really kind of getting out into the news, I guess, ultimately, and just having a whole area of people just saying, hey, these guys are good. I like them.
Yeah, and you don't need a lot, right? Like we're
Okay.
not talking about you have to hire a PR agency. Well, if you can, great. Like you should.
Hmm.
They do tend to be expensive, especially the good ones. But really, just identifying that how do you position the brand in a way that is interesting or resonates with your consumers? Like
Hmm.
what makes you different than anybody else? And investing in brand. So, what's your brand story? How do you look and feel from a brand
Hmm.
perspective? Why do people purchase from your brand, not someone else's brand?
Hmm.
Those are all the things that are really valuable in that stage one and two, and you really need to know.
Okay. And stage two, revenue wise, are we in the 750 to a million range?
This one starts to flex, right? This
Mm.
is now it's going to start to get fuzzier and fuzzier as we go on.
Okay.
You can be stuck at phase two, stage two, and stage three from 500K to 2 million, 3 million, and just kind of sitting in there. We do see a lot of people stall at that 1 million in revenue range, and it's because they had a really hard time identifying who their brand
Hmm.
community is and why, and how to kind of activate them.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, stage two, and we probably, have, know quite a number of companies, in the space. If you're, obviously, inventory based e-commerce company, would you recommend, and, this is maybe not your area, you're not going to come in and do a merchandising evaluation of a company, but maybe, recommending, or if you see them really overspending on, really ramping up inventory, is that a good sign, or is that, are they maybe moving too quickly into
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. I say stage one and stage two is the most volatile for
Mm,
brands.
yeah.
And uh, what generally, and you've said this a few times, like, we are very thoughtful.
Yeah.
And we tend to, because of the way we look at campaigns and because of kind of the way we push our campaigns, we tend to be conservative on a lot of things too.
Okay.
Inventory management is one of them.
Mm,
We tend to say, uh, especially at stage one and two, where cash flow is so important, I
yeah.
would rather you go out of stock than out of business. And
Interesting. Nice.
that's
Mm,
exactly what we would tell people is if you sell out, great. You are building brand awareness. You are feeling really good. You can always do a pre-order. You can always get the next round of products in.
right.
If you
Right.
purchase too much inventory and you run out of cash, there's
Mhm.
no solve there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing that we want to be really careful of.
Hmm.
Stage one and stage two. Stage three, it gets easier
Okay.
because now you're starting to scale your paid advertising. And the beauty about paid advertising is it is a lever. We can very much say we're going to spend X amount of dollars and we're going to see Y amount of return. We got a little, it's not perfect, but we do
Hmm.
have a better understanding of what our expectations are going to be. There's a
Okay.
lot of outside um, elements that will change
Hmm.
that: industry demand, market seasonality,
Hmm.
consumer confidence as a whole.
Right.
So there is a lot of things that will kind of mess with that. But this is the
Hmm.
point at which we start to really look at our clients and say, all right, let's look at your product margin. What
Hmm.
is your approximate product margin? Um, what is your break even return on ad spend? What is the return that you need to see to just break even on that product?
Hmm.
Because that's what we're going to drive to. And that's
Okay.
what we're going to try and reach to. If you say, hey, I need to have a little bit of buffer, we're on board with it. 10%, 20%, fine. But really, we want media to be driving 40% of your top line revenue at a break even, which means that you are making no money on 40% of your top line revenue, which is terrifying for a lot of people.
Sure.
But again, we're talking about top line revenue growth, not profitability. So that when we say we're going to spend 40% of your revenue at break even, that's because we're balancing making paid media, so the performance side, pay for the brand awareness. And so those two together mean that you've got this flywheel that allows you to kind of scale your campaigns. And continue to grow.
And did you find that, I mean, you can read a lot of content out there that talks about, running profitable ads, right? You got to make sure you're running, profitable ads, figure out what your, is it a 1 to 4, 1 to 5 for your business? If people have already read that and you're coming, they come to you at this stage 3 and they say, and you're telling them we're going to take 40% and run it at break even. And they say, that's not, I got to have profitable ads, Samir. I got to have money at the end of the day to keep it reinvesting in a business. How do you get past that to get them to truly understand why this is important following this methodology?
It's really interesting because I blame a lot of that on sensationalized advertising and marketing from other agencies. One of the most frustrating things for me is when I see an ad agency that's like, we did 13 times return on ad spend for our client. And I'm like, cool, that sounds really great. I can do it too. Just turn on a remarketing ad and that's it. Right. And cool. So I spent $1,000. I got $13,000 on it, but I can only spend $1,000 every day in perpetuity. And that will start to decline because I'm not introducing anyone new to the brand. So that's great if you want the sound bite, but it's not good if you want to hit any kind of revenue scale or growth numbers. So that's kind of our thought process, and we do a lot of education around that. The thing a lot of people forget is, and we see a lot of talk around this new metric MER. It's an old metric coming back, marketing efficiency ratios or media efficiency ratios, and it's really just blended return on ad spend. How much did I spend against how much total revenue did I create? So we remind people that yes, 40% of your revenue was break even, but when you do it as a MER or blended ROAS, you're actually very profitable. And that's the point. The 40% is fueling the 60%, and it's continuing to grow the 60%. It introduces new people to the brand. It introduces potential customers that then come in through organic channels or sign up for the email or sign up are converting in other ways. That is where you are building your profitability. We're just telling you, you need to be investing that in real time instead of saying, okay, I'm going to build out a brand awareness budget and then I'm going to build out a performance media budget. But because you've broken it out as 2 separate budgets, I can't flex money given depending on the marketing demand. So I have to forecast ahead of time. I think I can spend this much brand demand. And this is how much I'm going to spend in awareness. And I can forecast out this is how much I'm going to spend in performance. But if I'm wrong and the market changes in any way, I may have really tanked. I may have a lot of money held over from my performance side, or I may have just missed out on revenue because I didn't pull money from brand awareness at the time. To go to the performance side. So by having a singular return on ad spend target, we can work with the algorithms to make sure that we're building brand awareness while driving performance. And then that's really the value of it. Is it a lot of education for our clients? Absolutely. Is it a lot of education for new business? Absolutely. But ultimately, we know it's what scales our campaigns and what grows a lot of our brands.
Well, I think, honing in, after maybe you get them to understand the why behind this, to point to these other channels that, those are going to drive profitability, email, SMS, by this time, SEO is really like, if you had started focusing on it on stage 1, it's you're in a far, far better place, ranking wise. And you're probably pumping out a lot of content. So you have these other stages that are really driving the profit while you're really ramping up and getting this whole paid media side of things going. as you enter into, I assume at this point, stage 4 to get closer. Now you said things get fuzzy revenue wise. I'm sure now it's really fuzzy. Like there's no,
There's nothing. It's all
yeah,
over the place. If you
yeah.
hit it, let's say you're at stage 2 and a celebrity gets on board, it
Oh, right.
can skyrocket your revenue, and it's very different, right? So
Right.
stage 3 is super fuzzy. If I were to guess, it's like $1 to $3 million,
Okay.
$1 to $2 million, around that
Mhm.
standpoint.
Okay. Right.
Definitely after $2 to $3 million, you really do want to be at stage 4,
Mhm.
thinking about using media to drive brand awareness. And this is where that break-even return on ad spend becomes really important. And this is the point at which we want to be at, driving down to that 40% of top line revenue being invested in media at a break-even standpoint. In stage 3, we tend to see it flex a little bit higher. It's usually 50 to 60% because you can
Mm.
pour a lot of money into it
Right.
to build that brand awareness. At stage 4, you've kind of got that system going, and you're
Mhm.
starting to see it fit.
Okay.
Stage 4 is sorry.
I was gonna say, and you're probably at this point, inventory wise, you're ramping up. You're gone are the days of letting things go out of stock. You have plenty of inventory to back you up, so you're not going out of stock, and
Yeah.
you are there to fulfill because you have such volume going through the doors now, right?
Yeah, and the beauty of stage 3 to 4 is now you have intelligence and data.
Mm,
So we always say, the thing that transitions someone that transitions someone into 3, 4, and 5. So stage 3, you just have an immature media buying process. You're just buying media.
mhm,
You are probably tracking through attributed metrics versus any kind of marketing mix modeling or attribution systems, or even
mhm,
last click in Google Analytics. By stage 3 into 4, it's really around creating a mature media process. And so that's
mhm,
what we work on. That's why we work on what we do.
mhm,
It's really tactical media strategy. What are the
mhm,
channels we're activating? Who are the audiences? How does it fit in each
mm.
stage of the customer journey? So how
Right.
are we building brand awareness? Where are we driving consideration in comparison to our competitors and other products? How are we driving that final conversion,
Mm,
all the way through to how are we remarketing to existing customers to get them to
mhm,
try new products or try new things? Because advertising does have a place to play there as well.
Right.
So we're really thinking about it through all 4 stages. Uh, you talk about inventory planning, and so that's where our sophistication comes in to be really helpful. Is we do media forecasting and demand planning for our clients across every month for each stage of those, so that they can say, okay, I'm going to invest X amount of dollars, I'm going to
Mhm.
have Y amount of purchases from media. The expectation is that media is going to drive 40% of my revenue. I know the
Mhm.
60% is going to come from other areas. I can do better inventory planning
Right.
because
Wow. Okay. Hmm.
right. So there's 2 elements there, and the third element for us for mature media buying processes, what is your testing plan?
Mhm.
What are you testing? Why are you testing it? What's the potential impact of it? How easy was it for you to actually run it? So being able to have that media forecast that breaks out all your campaign results by KPI, you can
Mhm.
really look at it and say, okay, this key KPI, we're missing on CPMs at the brand awareness side. We better
Mm.
test our audiences. We better
Okay.
test our messaging. So really having a sophisticated testing plan is key to being able
Mhm.
to then reach stage 5, where you are in this consistent growth and scale model, where you are doing iterative testing that's continuing to scale and level up the media buying process. And you see this
Mhm.
kind of equilibrium point where your organic and media are sitting in this 40-60 split, and it's just
Mhm.
consistently driving top line revenue. That's where we want to be.
Wow. Wow. Well, just, the word analytics came up a few times.
Yeah.
What do what's your go-to? Have you guys built a proprietary, or are you using something like a glue, or what's your go-to software?
Yeah, so we actually pull everything into our own data warehouse, so the data all
Okay.
comes into it. We dashboard it and visualize it from there.
Mhm.
We use Google Analytics for most of our data
Mhm.
points from a advertising and top line last
Sure.
click data standpoint. But yeah, we stitch it all together on our end. So pulling together all of our media platforms as well as the Google Analytics data.
Mhm.
Uh, we'll work with attribution vendors, so
Mhm.
people like Northbeam or Triple Whale, to really review and validate brand awareness
Right.
campaigns, make sure that they are actually additive.
Okay.
And then for some of our clients, really looking at media mix modeling. So, what is the optimal breakdown across all of our channels? And are we
Mhm.
investing in the right ways? So, really thinking about that from an analytics standpoint
Hmm.
to be sophisticated with our clients.
Okay. And so what happens? I mean, how long? I mean, so how long do I sit in stage 4 roughly? You've seen enough of these, right? To see that, or is it again very fuzzy and how long a company sits in that space?
It's super fuzzy only
Hmm.
because stage 4 is not driven by media. So
Hmm.
stage 4 is actually driven by brand demand as a whole. So
Okay.
at stage 4, it's your brand's marketing calendar and how much
Mhm.
brand demand. Because generally the rate limiting element for us at stage 4 is organic growth, not
Mhm.
media growth. Because
Mhm.
again, like we can always pour fuel onto the fire and end up driving 50 or 60% of your top line revenue, but it's not a healthy place to be, especially
Mhm.
because we're driving it at break even.
Right.
So that
Right.
means that 60% of your revenue is not profitable versus we
Yeah.
want to keep 60% profitable and 40% as an investment in brand awareness. That's kind of
Okay.
our core metrics. So as long as organic is growing to a point and that rate at which it grows becomes consistent with what you want it to be,
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
can measure out what our media is going to grow to.
Wow. I mean, this, just from, the outside looking in, listening to all, sounds there a lot of complexity here. Too cute. But I'm assuming this is where the data warehouse, starts doing its work and really paying dividends and visualizing it for your clients. I assume you let your clients into the data, the dashboard so they can see what's going on, or is that risky because they're going to start asking way too many questions and not let
Yeah.
you guys, move things forward?
It's interesting because at first you would think it would be the data dashboards that do a lot of this. Honestly, it's the team. It's
Yeah.
the fact that they know exactly what they're doing. They're
Nice.
sophisticated marketers. They know they're trained on this and they
Hmm.
understand kind of how we work. So that is exactly what allows us to have these kind of conversations with our clients
Yeah.
and build that trust with them. So yes, our clients get a daily media dashboard. It's theirs
Yeah.
to be able to look at, and we break it out, right? How much of your revenue did we drive? How much of
Right.
it was organic versus paid? Because again, that's a key metric for us. We want to know
Sure.
what that is, along with what your return on ad spend is.
Well, I think
Um,
it's great that you have human beings still involved in this process, that it isn't all gone to the world of AI or anything like that that's, leveraging this. Do you use, I mean, is there any AI that comes into the mix? I know probably within some of the ad platforms there may be, but just, as an agency, do you guys leverage anything?
So we are all in on AI at the
Okay.
platform level. So
Okay.
we are huge fans of Performance Max. We trust that Facebook will
Yep.
actually do what is best for us. Obviously, we have to monitor and make sure that there are no
Sure.
errors there. But my perspective is we're kind of like bakers.
Hmm.
The AI is the oven. It's up to us to give it the right ingredients to get the right
Okay.
output. And
Hmm.
so that's where the human element really comes in. It's making sure the inputs that we're putting into all the platforms, the creative messaging, the campaign breakups,
Hmm.
all the audience signals are the right ones so that we're
Hmm.
able to scale. And that's where executional excellence comes in. So, do your media buyers actually know what they're doing in the platforms to get the most out of it?
Right, right. Wow, wow. I mean, I feel, if I was starting an e-commerce business today, I feel, liberated to know understand the stages of, where I'm going to be, where I should be. I guess I would ask, at stage 5, what starts to happen to the organization, maybe 5 years into being in stage 5? What are they looking for? I mean, obviously scale is happening. They are growing, 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 but there must be, does the founder step aside at this point and, or does private equity come in and start to acquire a piece of the business? What do you see happening in
But it's
stage 5?
interesting because that generally happens at stage 4.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So a lot of we see a lot of PE firms and exits happen around that stage 4 side. Here's the reason why.
Hmm.
At stage 4, you are still growing like a rocket ship, and the
Mm,
vision for what is growth ahead is so much more interesting to PE firms and
mm,
VC firms than the actual growth that occurs. Generally transition into consistent growth and scale because PE firms require consistent growth and scale
right.
because they have a 10-year window. So
Uh-huh.
that's generally what ends up happening is that the transition from 4 to 5 is really around um, business maturity. Did
Mm,
somebody come in and look at this as an investment and need consistent growth versus kind of that rocket ship level? We're
mhm,
going to pour all we can. What we do tend to also see at stage 5 is this is when brands start to think about outside of the box, really big
mm,
ideas. So now you're talking, huge celebrity partnership or
mhm,
large brand campaign. I'm sponsoring something huge,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's those moment in time tent poles that then take the brand to the next level. And
Interesting.
so consistent growth and scale, we talk about it from a media perspective, but we do
Mm-hmm.
see these huge spikes when a brand does something interesting, and then consistent growth and scale from there, and then huge
Right.
spike grow from there. So,
Okay.
so that's kind of stage five. And that might be we launched a new product service line or partnered
Right.
with a new wholesaler. It doesn't only have to be marketing perspectives.
Okay. Do you see
That's
acquisitions happening? The brands actually acquiring other brands at this stage, also bringing in for that additional revenue growth?
we don't see that very often, only
Hmm.
because it's hard to merge brands,
Mm,
right? At that point, you are buying just a product set, right? It's hard
right.
to take like a brand and make it yours, especially if we're saying from the beginning your brand is about a community and who you are. It's hard to
Yeah.
inject someone else's community
That's a
into
good
that
point.
as
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Well, that's fast. I mean, I love this. Again, if I was, doing this all over again and building from scratch, knowing where I fit and what happens roughly in each stage, and having a better definition of it is great for a brand. And I would assume there are many brands that again come to you, they don't really know where they are, right?
well.
And you're essentially putting them in a bucket that this is what you should be doing at this stage. Either we're taking you on or not, based on where you are, and this is our formula. This is how we
Yeah.
approach things. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's also really nice too because when we have those conversations, we can tell them and be
Hmm.
like, "Hey, if we were in your shoes, here is where you should
Yeah.
invest the dollars,"
Right.
right?
Right. Okay. So tell me this. So let's go all the way back to stage zero. Okay.
Okay.
There's a group of entrepreneurs, maybe a class at a university or something like that, and you've been asked to come in and talk. I'm just curious, what would you tell them to get to one, then two, then three? Really, kind of kick a business, kick it off. What kind of advice would you give?
It's the hardest part of the whole process,
All right.
and I would say also the suckiest part, to be honest.
Yeah.
So just trying to
Yeah.
figure out like what it is. Expect to fail a lot.
Okay.
Talk to people, find out what they do, watch people. I think college is a really interesting opportunity to start a business because you have the opportunity to watch how people behave in a
Hmm.
really unique way.
Yeah.
And the things that they buy because you just are around a lot of people. So
Yeah.
I always say just see what gets people excited and see what
Hmm.
gets you excited. If you're not passionate about the product, it's going to be really hard to be authentic to it through
Yeah.
stage 1 and 2 when you have to talk and inspire other people about it.
Right.
So that's always stage one. I also say product sourcing and
Mm.
uh, quality is really difficult at that stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I also will tell people it's a lot more expensive than you think it is. I would not start yet
Yes.
this at this stage right now if I was not comfortable burning at least six figures over the next few
Yeah.
years to get it to a point where I need to grow.
It's
And there's a difference, right? Like, do I want just like a lifestyle business that sells a few products and I'm like I'm really
mhm.
just excited about it? Great, you
Yeah.
can probably do that. And I think Shopify will say this: like, you can just do that in your backyard and just make
Sure.
it
Right. That's
happen.
what they'll say. Yes.
But if you want
Yeah.
to really build a business that's going to scale and you are looking at that VC or PE
Hmm.
exit at some point, um, it's $1 million. No
Yeah.
way around it for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's very good realistic advice, because I do still think that the Shopifys of the world are preaching that entrepreneurship, build it and they will come, which does not happen. That is nonsense. They will not come. You will pour money into it, and I really, I don't want to. I personally don't want to ever. Squelch anybody's entrepreneurial dreams, starting something. But I also would rather, personally rather know before I get
Yeah,
into it. And if you were here telling me, listen, I know what stage 5 looks like, and to get to stage 5, you're literally at zero.
yeah,
This is a vulnerable stage of your business. This is what you need to do. I'm going to listen, because e-commerce has matured. This is not the e-commerce of 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where, you throw some AdWords dollars in there, you do, SEO, because you could get yourself to the top pretty quickly.
yeah.
It is really there are roadblocks now, but still encouraging. There are things you can do. to
Yeah,
get
I
to
mean,
consumable?
the first thing I would do is get a batch of product and go to a market. I go to a
Very
farmer's
good.
market or a
Hmm.
college fair and just see if I could sell that set.
Yeah.
If I can do that just as low cost as possible to figure out if I can
Hmm.
sell, because building a Shopify website is easy. Building a
Yeah.
trustworthy Shopify site is difficult
Yeah.
and expensive.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
I think that that's the difference, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. Well, fantastic. I mean, I love this. This is great, and I want to just kind of bring, as I said in the beginning, some levity to. It's a very important conversation. If we can just jump in and ask some
Let's
rapid
do it.
fire, but before we do, I'm curious. Over your left shoulder, what does that say on the
So
board?
it's our core values. So
Mhm.
be curious, decisive, collaborative, impactful, and passionate. So those are the things
Beautiful.
how we run our business.
Absolutely wonderful, and I love that. Love that you have it on a board behind you. You see it every day, right? And you see
Yeah,
it, and
that's
everybody sees it who's on camera.
that's
So,
exactly right.
you know what you guys stand for. I love it. So, given all that, given your core values, because I'm sure a lot of this came from your collaborative work with your team to come up with these. What gets you excited to wake up each and every day?
Yeah, honestly, the team does. I learn so much from them every day.
Nice.
It's kind of awesome. It's great when I do these podcasts and
Hmm.
people talk about my 15 years of advertising experience, and I'm like, I don't think I could run a Facebook ad if I wanted to anymore because it's so different than what it
Yeah.
is. Luckily, I have a team that just knows exactly what to do, and we can really identify opportunities for our campaigns and what
Hmm.
growth looks like. And the clients that we work with give us an opportunity to just get better every
Hmm.
day. And we really look at it as a partnership. So are we going to make mistakes? Probably. Are they going to make
Sure.
mistakes? Probably. And it's just
Right.
great that we can grow together, which is awesome.
Nice, nice. And then what's that drink of choice that gets you excited or maybe revs you up a little bit in the morning?
In the morning, it's coffee. It's
Yeah.
coffee
Black or
4 to 5 times a day.
oh,
Uh,
wow. All right. Very
uh,
nice. What are you
yeah,
on right now? It's what time, whatever time it is.
I don't know. I'm
You're
on
on
number
number
2, I
2.
think, of a giant cup. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
You go
uh,
black coffee only?
no, a
Oh,
splash of milk.
nice.
No sugar though.
Very
And we
good.
go.
Very good. All right. Well, you're in the 3%. Everybody so far is 90, I think 97% black coffee. It's interesting.
I don't know if
I
I
have
could
to
do
have a little something in mind too. I can't go. I'll try black. Yeah, you get a little flavor, but not. I'm good with a little something. So besides what you're doing today, the job you're doing today, what would you be doing if you weren't doing what you're doing today?
that. I'd be a stay-at-home dad with my
Oh,
kids.
nice.
That would be awesome.
Wow. Fantastic. Do you know how much work goes into being a stay-at-home dad? Have
I
you
do.
researched
I'd
that?
see my wife and I know.
Oh man.
I mean, I've
I'm
got 2 little ones. I've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and
oh, that's
to be
beautiful.
able to
That's
hang out with them would
beautiful.
be so much fun.
I met a stay-at-home dad the other day. He was sewing his kid's Halloween costume.
Yeah,
And I
they're not.
thought, wow. I mean, I was on Amazon looking for our kids' costumes. This guy
Yeah, there's a
was
lot of
sewing.
YouTube that you're doing at that point,
Yes,
right?
YouTube is your best friend. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So what is your go-to software, an app on your phone, something you just can't live without? You got to check it many times a day.
Oh man, it's gonna be Gmail and Slack, right? Like that's
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
all.
All
It's just
right. I'm
email
with
and
you on
Slack all
that.
day long, right?
Yeah.
We're also on ClickUp for all of our project management. So
Beautiful.
it's
Look at
those
that.
three together is pretty much where we live.
Well, we'll high five on that. We use ClickUp, and I almost just looked at Slack the other day. I'm like, if I could just not check email and just check Slack, that's it.
I
I
know.
love everything about it. It's a brilliant piece of software. There's no doubt they made the money. Yeah, they got paid the right amount, maybe even less. They should have been paid more for that acquisition. If you had a talent, what talent would you give yourself? Something you don't have right now.
I just want to be able to play the piano. I think that would be such a
Wow,
cool thing to be able to do. I don't know. That's just like
that's
I'm
awesome.
always jealous of people that can play the piano and just like
Do,
watch them.
do you play any instruments at all?
I have tried every
Oh,
instrument. I just have
okay.
a block there. So I've tried piano, guitar, I don't know, everything. And I can't
Wow.
for
All
whatever
right.
reason, which is why it's the skill that I want.
Yeah, well, if that stay-at-home dad thing ever pans out, while they're napping, you could get in their room and
You
play
have
some
to be
piano.
utterly quiet while they're napping,
Yeah, you
right?
technically should be, but maybe you can come up with a nice lullaby that would actually help the
That
sleeping
would be
process.
awesome.
That's great. So last question, you're in the world of e-commerce. What's your favorite online store and why?
I have so many. This is the problem. I don't know that I can answer that. Yeah, I don't even have an answer for that. I mean, all of
All
our
right.
client stores are awesome, right?
Nice.
So we one of the things that we actually do is we purchase from all of our client stores
Oh,
because we don't think we can be an agency unless we're a customer too.
right.
So
Absolutely.
that would be a hard decision to tell you which one
Yeah.
is our
All
favorite
right,
'cause
good. We
we're
won't
all
play. We won't play favorites then. All right. Well, Samir, this has been awesome. I mean, just a wealth of knowledge. I love the attention to detail that you guys put into this. The thoughtful approach to scaling a business and getting it through these. At least when they come to you at stage 3, and taking them through stage 5. And it's really, really important for businesses to know that, and also to know what it takes to get there. And it's hard work, running an e-com business, hard work running an agency, but hard work running anything. And really, at the end of the day, there's nothing you're walking into that's easy. But to help these brands get to the next level and show them what it looks like, I think is fantastic. You're doing a wonderful job. I learned a ton today. I mean, a lot out of this, and I'm now going to go back and figure out where we fit in. As an agency, which one of these do we fit into, and how do we get to that next level? So, which I assume is this. Some of this relates to all businesses, right? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah. I
just.
mean, I don't. I mean, we look at it for ourselves also, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
awesome. Well, take a minute and tell everybody where they can find out about the agency, about you, and reach out to you.
Yeah. So for me, LinkedIn is the best. Samir
Mhm.
Balwani, you'll see me pretty easily. Feel free to connect with me, reach out to me. Also, if you go to our website, it is weareqry.com. You'll be able to see kind of what we do, how we work. Uh, Book a strategy call. That's actually with me. So if you want to talk
Great.
to me, you can go ahead. That is my calendar. By all
Nice.
means, feel free. The other thing that's really important is take a look at our benchmarks. So we actually publish a lot of data
Beautiful.
from our data warehouse. So everything around revenue growth to what CPMs we're seeing, what are the CPCs we're seeing. Coming into the holidays, this will be really valuable. So you can kind of see what the trends are and where we're going.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's always good to have that information up on there. I think it's good for brands to be able to see that ahead of, and the fact that they get to talk to the CEO directly. That's awesome. All right.
Yeah,
That's a bonus and all that. Well, thank you again, Samir. Thank you for coming on today to the E-commerce Revolution podcast. It's great to have you. And I wish you all the success out there in the world. And we'll see you on LinkedIn, and brands that come our way, we'll send them your way
awesome.
to give them the help they need.
Yeah,
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. That brings us to the end of another episode. What a great episode. I love these episodes because I learn so much, as an e-commerce entrepreneur, as an e-commerce agency owner. The guests teach me a whole lot. So it's been fantastic. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming to the episode today. Let's check out our past episodes. They're all up on YouTube, or you can find them at SKU Agency. That's skuagency.com/podcast. We'll put those in the show notes. Make sure you give us a like on and connect with us on LinkedIn. We'll be posting this shortly after. The replay will be up there shortly after, so you can catch it there on YouTube and Facebook. And if you need to reach out to us for any SMS and email marketing initiatives, please reach us at hello, HELLO, at skuagency.com. Mention this podcast, and we'll hook you up with a free email and SMS strategy review for your business, which is valued at $850. So that is all we have for today. We'll see you on the next